Hello, and welcome to Composer Chatter, where the musicians of the Del Sol String Quartet sit down and talk about music and anything else with the composers that we love. If you'd like to learn more, check out our website, delsolquartet.com, or find us on social media at Del Sol Quartet. Thanks.
Good morning. I'm so excited to be here with our composer from our Composer Incubator, Adeliia Faizullina. And I really look forward to talking to you, Adele, just about your process, your music. It's been such a pleasure to work with you. So thanks for joining me.
Oh, thank you so much. I was so happy to work with you all, and that was such a wonderful process. I'm very excited to talk with you and share our experience.
So, can you tell us a little, or tell, us, our audience, a little bit about your musical background? I mean, I'm noticing even just in your Zoom frame, we have a piano, we have some flutes, we have a guitar. You are, yeah, like what was it like growing up in your house? What kind of music did you listen to? What did you play? How did you become a composer?
Yeah. So I was a little baby when I figured out in the world there are instruments. In our house in Uzbekistan, we had a piano left by some of our relatives. And so I got to know that instrument. I somehow figured out I can press the keys and that makes sounds.
Nice.
So yeah, and I was sitting by that piano hours and hours, like for such a long time, touching the keys. And even I remember myself when we were moving from that house from Uzbekistan to Tatarstan with all my family. So I remember I was composing a song or something, playing the keys. And that was, saying goodbye to the piano. And I was so sad because no one told me there are plenty in the world. I thought there is just that one friend that I'm leaving
Oh
that
my
we cannot
gosh.
bring with us. So that was sad song. And I like remember that so vividly. I think I was about 6. I was 6 when we moved.
Wow. Did you have a new
So
piano in the new house or?
yeah, when
Okay.
we moved, my parents decided to find me a music teacher and they bought me a piano. So I was very happy.
You
And
made a new friend.
yeah, and this is right here. That's my old piano, like the second one that I knew in my life. So it is still with me. Even, you know, it needs some repairing. It still sounds okay, and I really like playing it. I keep practicing piano, and improvising. So yeah. And then, as I said, when I was 7, my parents found me a music teacher, and uh, at that time, I started taking music lessons. I started learning Braille, piano, elementary music theory, and all that stuff, and started improvising as well. That was my um, trait after I practiced piano. I like, oh, okay, now I can improvise, uh, travel by the sound somewhere else, and I could do that like for a couple of hours, just
Wow.
improvising something.
So it was kind of your version of like reading, of like going, taking a story to a different place to, um, wow, that's just incredible so you just started improvising on your own on your first piano friend and then just kept doing it. That's really,
Yes. Yes.
did
So,
your, did your teachers encourage that or,
um, I didn't tell them. Like, I yeah, I didn't know like, oh, that's a thing. You can take lessons on improvisation, or you can take composition lessons because I started composing. I was memorizing some of my improvisations and like repeating them next time. So, but it was my like, as I said, trait because I could get more freedom, just playing many different sounds, doing whatever I want, imagining things, as opposed to like learning a specific line, memorizing it. So that was like, yeah,
That's such a
uh,
fascinating.
quite a fun.
We talk a lot about, different composers that we work with. Like composing is sometimes more about the control and the setting things in place. And so it's really kind of interesting to hear you talk about, right, what we talk about the other end of the spectrum, which is sort of creating freedom and openness. And at the same time, the music that you're writing us and that we've seen before, is written down and captured on the page, and at the same time, it breathes with a sense of freedom and openness, and that actually what you're saying right now makes a lot of sense to me, of like that it actually brings for you that openness and that sort of air like in a room.
Yeah, thank you.
At what point did you decide that, hey, this is something I want to devote my life to? How old were you?
Um, Actually, I was 7 when I said that for the first time. Um, I participated in a competition as a pianist. I think I was around 8 years old, and so um, they were doing some interviews and they were asking some questions. What's your dream? Those kind of things. And I said, "Oh, my dream is to be a composer." So I really remember that. That's such a vivid memory, because to me it was like, wow, it's like composers. It's such a pedestal, and you
Wow.
can write your own music, and that's your own thing, and kind of give that music to people and they play it. And that was a magic to me. And like, I was drawn to the idea of creating something new, I guess, even at that time, because I loved improvising. And so I, I was realizing that, oh, that's a composing in a way. And that's why I said that at the time. But I didn't have any training in writing music. My first composition lessons, they happened when I was around 17, when I entered the College of Music, where I did my bachelor's as a vocalist. So and um, there were some elective classes, elective lessons with the composer Svetlana Zarukova. And so my mom saw like a poster in that college saying, "Oh, there are free lessons, elective lessons. Please contact us, and you can start taking those lessons." So I came to Svetlana Zarukova. We talked. I showed to her some of pieces I wrote myself, and so at that time I started taking those formal lessons, and I started listening to some music by living composers, and really was inspired by that, actually. Even now, for me, one of the inspirations is to listen to uh, music by others, by living composers, getting to know their stories, and feeling that the music isn't something just that exists on the page, but it's someone's heritage, someone's um, ideas, someone's uh, children in a way,
Yeah.
musical children. So
We often
yeah.
say that, getting to play composer pieces is very much getting to know them and getting inside. Like I like to think of it as like getting inside your mind. It's like what's going on in there? Like what is it the things that you hear? What is it the things that you um draw from and are inspired by? And it's a very I'm very honored to be part of that process. To be really to get to know all you composers, and to sort of have the honor of bringing those children, those really thought like mind and ear children to life. Give them get them to play. So, you touched on something. You said you're kind of one of your inspirations is to kind of listen to music by other composers today. Are there other things that inspire your ideas and your music that you draw from, or that you, or part of your process? What's your process for composing a new piece? Like, how do you get the ideas? How do you develop them?
So yeah, it's always complicated process. Sometimes you even don't realize with what exactly you started. But to me, I can definitely say I draw so much inspiration from nature, from sounds of nature, and this is how I explore and hear and perceive the world through the sounds. And I always feel when I take a walk to the park or just being outside, oh, that's a cool sound. And then I think, oh, I like the way how it comes through and I receive it. So I pay attention to those things. And so that's one of the source of my inspiration, sounds of nature. And then I grew up listening to some folk music of Tatar culture, and that was part of my family actually, because my grandpa, oh, my grandma, she knew so many Tatar folk songs, fairy tales, poetry. So she would sing those to us, to my siblings, and even taking those long walks to the parks near our town, even forests. She would like tell those stories and would sing those songs to us. And so this is really part of my identity, something that exists in my family. Um, so I think, yeah, these are most um, inspiring things that give me some ideas. And when I start writing a piece, I got the imagery of a place or like place and sounds in it, and even feeling of the time of the day, like, oh, this is like when it's getting darker toward the night, where this is really happening in the bright morning. But often it's hard to verbalize in a way because this is a mix of things that are part of my identity, things that I'm interested in, my own like feelings and the state of my life that I have at the time of writing a piece. So they all influence, I think, us even uh, in a way that we even don't realize often.
I love what you're talking about, and I know that we've already, as a quartet, we've had some conversations about this. But the what I love is like you're talking about being in the environment, and it's not just about the sounds, but also like how is it that what you said? How is it that you receive it? What's the experience? Um, what is the feeling of nighttime? What is like? How does that change like and it's like it's something I've been interested in is sort of this idea of energy and like how we receive something very differently. And so even an emotion that someone's happy is like how does that transfer to you or not, and like how is it that you actually perceive that as a human being. And it's I know the quartet has been really fascinated. I keep looking this way because I keep looking outside. We've been fascinated by being in the environment and how the music can change, like how the environment can change how you listen to music, and how the music can change how you see your environment and how you engage with your environment. And I know that's something that we've been talking about in our composing incubator process, is sort of how it's very interesting. It's like how does the environment and the way that it might be performed weave in and out of the notes that are being created. um, and I was thinking about the piece that you just wrote for Ali and Austin for the I was pulling this up. The Glyph Cam, so the Gabriella Lena Frank Creative Academy of Music did a COVID response, um,
Mhm.
pairing composers with performers. And you compose a piece for the wonderful singer and double bass player Ali in Austin. Can you, that piece, oh my gosh, like, can you, like, I mean, we're talking about, I don't know what their recording equipment was, but I don't think it was super fancy. And I literally was having this like oral response where I couldn't tell where the sound was coming from, where I was like, wait, are they, is there electronics? Like, it just literally was this crazy sensation of the way that the frequencies and the waves that were um, producing this unbelievable effect. Can you talk a little bit about that piece? Or
Oh, yes. Yes, sure. Um, so the idea actually about those sounds and like the space, the imagery, they came after I talked to Ali and Austin, after I had a conversation with them. So like in a way, it reflects um, them, because Ali, she is so energetic, and Austin, he is more like calm. And I thought about sunlight, like when I started writing the piece for them, and then all those sounds. Um, it's interesting. Just remembering writing it. I had a guitar actually with me, and I started trying some sounds on it, and then singing as well. So and I experimented with combination of sounds, and then I often use the ideas of spectrum, like
yeah,
how these sounds play for the spectrum and how they can bring up some more sounds in it, like through that combination. And so I improvised myself on that guitar and singing myself, and then also imagining things. Um, and then all the possibilities with harmonics, glissando on double bass, it's like huge, and you
yeah,
get
yeah,
so
yeah.
many noises on top of it. And so I thought it would be cool, because the piece won't sound the same. Like every time it will sound different, just because those glissandos will bring slightly different noises, slightly different sounds into it. And the techniques that I used for the voice part, I used some overtone singing, and that was for the color, because when you try to sing using that technique, actually it makes the sound to give you as well like some extra noises or extra sounds to it. And with the double bass harmonics glissando, that is creating, I guess, those uh, almost electronic sounds. Um, yeah, I don't know if that answers the question, but
Yeah, no, it's fascinating. And actually, it was interesting what you sort of highlighted something for me again, which is this idea that it's okay that it's not the same every time. Like that's actually that freedom that comes from improvisation. Like I think that it seems, or for me as a performer, seems to be a priority of yours that like there's a certain amount set, and then like it's actually the beauty of the music that it can be slightly different every time, that it can engage in the environment in a slightly different way, that the sound might like curve a different way the next time, and that's okay. um, and that's really,
mhm.
I love that. I think I've loved that amount of like you're controlling the bits, but you're also enjoying the way that it changes subtly, and that's just been really fun to fun to be part of. Um, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, so what? How is, we've been working together now for some weeks and months. How is this process of the composer incubator changed? Has it been different for you than sort of writing a normal piece? Yeah. has it, or like what do you notice, or what has been good or bad for you?
I think the most beautiful thing is that it's about connection. And it's not just me writing the piece, delivering it by the deadline, and like all the process is going around me. I feel I had so much connection and so much inspiration from you, and even touching uh, the topic of like performers and the piece sounding different, the piece sounding different next time. So I love when I have this connection to the performers, and performers can have fun with the ideas, like improvise in a way, and that becomes our piece together. I don't know how better to explain that, but uh, that was really inspiring to me. And I really love thinking and writing down the idea, thinking about the performer, um, just having this human connection into the piece, you know. Um, and then what also was different, and as I said, normally we write the piece and deliver it. And so here with you all, I could do such a thing when I would imagine something, a musical idea, but often I was doing things that I wouldn't do normally. Like if I need to um, come up with the idea, I just usually make sure I know everything about it, how it works, how it sounds like. And with you all, I was thinking like, oh, what if I do this, and let's see how it sounds like. Um, or something would seem to me more experimental, and I would think, yeah, I'm not sure how it works. Let's try it. Let's write it down and then see how it sounds like. And then often I wouldn't even write down the idea, to the score. I would just talk to you and like explain, what if we did this and that, and I'm imagining this that way, but let's try it. Like it was so beautiful and so inspiring hearing you play that. And then for the next session, I would use that idea, maybe with some new things in it. Again, like, oh, what if I add something else like this? But still, that was something that we tried during the session, and I either liked that sound or not. But then I would, choose definitely the one that I would be interested in. So I'm sure the piece would be completely different, or wouldn't exist if we wouldn't have all those sessions together and conversations on your feedback, and your personalities. So that was really
Well,
inspiring
it's
process
it's
for
it's an
me.
interesting thing what you're talking about. It's like it's expand. What I keep thinking about the word like expansive. That it right, like rather than being limited to what you already know, like it's a place where I think because of that, that community and that relationship that we're building, it becomes a safe place to just try and be able to fail. Like, hey, this doesn't work. Oh, that like sounded terrible. Or like I remember,
Mhm.
was it last week or um, you know, we were talking about the false, like there was some low harmonic passages on the cello, and I said it just makes me feel like I'm like a, like really like dunk dunk dunk, like trying to make this like whistling, but I'm like very 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 short and very 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 squat, and I'm like trying to whistle, and you sort of laugh. You we all kind of just broke down laughing because it was such a funny
Yeah,
um, but it's such a
yeah,
wonderful place, a safe place to try and to have it not work or it to work, um, and I think that's been exciting for us to see how, and the idea behind the incubator is like to see how you're able to push yourself to expand the things that you know and you like and you want to try, and then to just try them out and say like, oh, this one, It's like, okay, this works. Oh, no, that's terrible. Oh, that one's really kind of cool. And um, I think it's been
Yeah.
interesting for us just on the other end of it. Like we were saying that never, I don't think we've ever worked quite as in depth on a piece in the process with a composer as well. And we already know the piece. Like we need to rehearse it, to make it better, to like make sure we play everything and really can nail everything. But we kind of know the ins and outs of how this was created, how it was thought, what's in your ear. And now we don't have to like sit there and argue about it or even really, make plans because we've been doing that. We've been building this along with you. And I think that's really exciting, and it's been fun. I think we're always a little cautious. We're like, we don't want to tell you what to do, but like, hey, what about this? um and the idea that we can, you know we are the experts at our instruments, and that we can offer things that might be similar but work better. And so then the piece
Mhm.
also becomes unbelievably idiomatic, that like, hey, oh, this works really well here, or this works here, or we could do it here, or like this doesn't quite
Mhm.
work. And it becomes a process. Oftentimes we get pieces that are, when we do the like, hey, here, we commission a composer and they hand us a piece, it's like, oh, well, like 95% of this is great. And then there's that 5% of that one awkward chord that I wish I had time to tell them that it didn't work very well.
Mhm.
But at the point when it's finished and you have a score, you don't want to ask them to change things. So it's been, yeah, it's actually kind of been like watching a flower grow. Like
Mhm.
you see like the leaves, and then um and it keeps growing, and then you see like the first bud, and then like, and the way it opens up, and it's just been so rewarding for us too. And I love,
Oh, thank you, Kat.
yeah. Well, it was interesting because our initial plan pre-COVID was we would spend an intense number of days with you guys, and share meals and get to know you, and do that same relation building. But um, not, and then with COVID, we decided, hey, like we want to keep doing this, but how do we build that same relationship? And then in some ways it actually becomes something that you guys can have a lot more time in between the process, which may actually be more rewarding. Of now we can spend months together, and it's not the time and the expense of getting in the same place. And so it's an interesting thing where we may, even in a post-COVID world, may combine in-person time with with the Zoom format.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, I don't. Anything else? Any other ideas that you have that you want to share about the incubator or your music or?
Um, I just wanted to mention that the piece that I wrote for you that we worked on all together, at the time I was writing it, I also learned my first music teacher, Evgeny Dmitrovich, passed away last August 2020. Um, so our only connection was calling on the phone. He couldn't use internet. Uh, so I was calling him over and over for many months, and it was still ringing. So I thought, oh, maybe he didn't hear the call.
Yeah.
He was old, so I thought, okay, I will call next time. And then in at the end of January, I learned about his death. His son picked up the phone and told me, and so I didn't expect to hear that at all, because even Yevgeny Mitrovich was old, but he was in a relatively good health. He was visiting concerts when concerts were happening. He was taking walks, and yeah, I didn't expect to hear to hear the news, and all the memories that I have about him. They're just so beautiful. My parents were bringing me to the lessons with him, where we were spending many hours together, just because we lived in a different town and we had to go to Kazan, the city next to the town. Like that could happen just once in a week, once per week. And so that's why we had to do all the different music lessons in one day, piano lessons, music theory, Braille. Um, yeah, Evgeny Dmitrovich taught me Braille, and this is how I notate my music before I can dictate it. So anyways, I just have those beautiful memories of him playing for me music, telling me about different things um, about music. And after those lessons, I would go home with my parents and like through the weather, winters, summers, I would just reflect on all those ideas and like being inspired. That was a treat for me, and he opened for me the world of music. He was the first person who did that, and he was incredible musician, incredible person, um, and he taught me a lot, and I learned from him a lot. Not just like not just not just about the music, but also just seeing his strength, his dedication, um, his intelligence, his beautiful beautiful soul. That was inspiring. He's one of the best examples for me and heroes, I would say. So, and yeah, I honor his life and his name in the piece, which is called "My Face Held the Sky." So, uh, yeah.
Wow. Wow. You did it again. You mentioned that in one of our sessions, and I started crying, and you just again, it's like that's. I mean, we're so honored that this piece and this process can be something so beautiful that can honor such a life and to remember him.
Mhm.
So thank you. I mean, that's our honor,
Well, thank
to
you.
to hold him up and remember him. Yeah, and I think the piece is stunning. I can't wait to play it outside. We've talked about the way, where, and how, and the different ways that we can play it, and the different ways that we can be outside, or in a cave, or in a field, and the way that the environment becomes part of the piece. And
Mhm.
and we were talking earlier about how many of our sessions, my 2-year-old kid is running around, playing drums and um, playing the piano, maybe not unlike you, playing piano along with your beautiful music, and how patient you were, as well as how wonderful, that becomes part of the natural environment that is added to the piece. Um, and so I look forward to hearing that with the birds and the wind and the sun and the all the other things, the insects, the people, the breathing. I mean,
Yeah,
in every way,
people.
like this piece breathes, and it reflects, and it loves, and I think that's just something that's so special. So
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And to me, it was so inspiring just seeing your kid being there. And this is so inspiring to me that you combine your work and you take care of your child. And it was just inspiring and so cute to watch her there, hearing her voice.
oh well, thank you. As I was saying also earlier, it's the graciousness and patience of other people that allow that to happen during, also, during a time when there's not much option. But we were talking about, I think it's really important to normalize that, so mothers can still be part of the professional world, that it doesn't have to be so um, that we can be composers and performers and um, writers and whatever, like at the top of our field, and we don't have to. We can still love and give and be a mom, and I think that's incredibly important for people to see.
Yeah.
Is it? It's not always easy. It's I always have to like, okay, I can't change into my concert clothes yet because Corwin's gonna like come bring her greasy peanut butter fingers and smear them all over me. Um, but it's life, and I think life is a little dirty, and if we actually embrace that, if we embrace that wind and embrace that when the insects fly into our instruments when we're playing or whatever, it's part of the joy, it's part of the beauty, it's part of life. So I think, oh man, Adele, it's been so wonderful to work with you and to talk with you today. I can't wait for everyone to hear the piece out. I'm gonna say we created
Oh,
together, that you created for us, with us, and it's been such an
yeah.
honor to get to know you. So
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And it was so wonderful, wonderful to connect with you all during these days and create together. Thank you so much for this wonderful, inspiring time together.